Welcome, sins and commandments alike. This is Griever back here, your guys' host as always, bringing you guys the latest episode review of 7 Deadly Sins, Wrath of the Gods. As you guys can no doubt tell, I have a smile on my face. And my intro was filled with passion. There's a reason for that. And it didn't take much. They animated this episode. This wasn't a PowerPoint with mouth flaps of the manga panels drawn poorly. This wasn't okay, we're going to, even when we do stills, they still look bad. This was good. This was a good episode. In fact, it's the best episode of the first 4. Now, that bar was set kind of low, especially episode 3. That's abysmal. Episode 1 is all filler and meh. Episode 2 was okay. Episode 4 has now set the bar for the quality that we should have. Because this fight was good. That's all the episode is. The episode is one big fight. If you guys remember at the end of the last episode, Sariel and Tarmiel, the other 2 archangels, alongside Ludeshel, they show up, right? And basically, they fight against the 5 other commandments. You got Melisukla there, you got Galen there, you got Monspeed, Derriere, and who's the other one? Frodrin. You have Frodrin there, right? Now, Melisukla bounces pretty early on and meets up with Gother, the Gother that we know of the 7 Deadly Sins, who is apparently one of the 10 commandments. A big deal, right? For the most part, other than the couple of jumps away, basically Ludeshel, or however you say his name, the leader of the great 4 archangels, he decides pretty much to, him and Nerobasta, he's just kind of like, you know what, I guess they're having more trouble than I thought. I'm going to go peace. I'm going to go help them. Gother basically intervenes after Ludeshel leaves and takes over Nerobasta's mind with, of course, Gother's, mind control powers. Melisukla also arrives, and their job is to open the gateway, the Sky Gate, which is basically the way that the Goddess Clan is getting reinforcements from the heavens, from the high heavens. That is where they are gaining. That's their access point, right? That's their gate between the realms. And they are apparently going to utilize this for nefarious purposes. Now, we don't see what, or really, it's just they're basically there just to show it is happening. Also, Meliodas and Dolar and Gloxinia, of course, appear, but their whole job throughout this episode is basically to run. Their whole job is to run through this episode towards the battle, and they don't get there. Meliodas, you should probably go salt mode, bud, if you really want to get there, and zoom. Jumping and running at an anime level pace, but basically a starting protagonist, a Naruto, Ichigo, Luffy pace. When a war is going on and you want to get there fast, it seems kind of, and you can't tell me that Dolar and Gloxinia can't go faster. It seems kind of weird. The only thing with them is that they come across Elizabeth, who Sariel and Tarmiel, they did a barrier and protected her after Derriere knocked her basically, bitch slapped her down to the ground and she was comatose. They put a barrier around her, a goddess barrier, so the demons couldn't touch her. Meliodas goes, it's a tender moment. I wish they had played, there's a different soundtrack I really wish they had played. It's the same one that they play when Hendrickson is defeated in season 1 and Meliodas is basically standing there and Elizabeth heals him and cries in his arms sort of idea at the end of the season. That would have been the perfect OST to play during this scene. Honestly, I might even myself just do that. I've done that before, right? When I've preferred different soundtracks and different moments of anime, because I used to make anime music videos when I was, a teenager. So, and that channel is still up somewhere, but I don't have access to it anymore. It's still there. It's still there on YouTube, but suffice it to say is that would have fit this scene so much better, because what happens is that even Gloxinia is repelled. Gloxinia is a very goddamn king. I mean, I'm sure the real Gloxinia could have found a way to dispel this, but Gloxinia is I guess it's a goddess-only zone, pretty much. And Meliodas as a demon, it probably hurts even more. Meliodas goes in And I mean, he's just being like lightning, and his hands are being burned, they're being disintegrated as he reaches for Elizabeth. And they're just like, stop, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he's just like, it doesn't matter. And he powers his way through. He grabs Elizabeth out of the thing. And then you see his hands still are permanent. Like, they have super bad burns on them and stuff, right? But he's just holding her there, bridal style sort of idea. And he's just like, Elizabeth, you're safe now sort of idea. Very tender moment. Very, very nice. Just didn't want to forget that. Had to bring that up before we get into the main core of the episode, which is pretty much just a fight. But all of this was well done, well animated, and at the end of the episode, we know what happens. We'll get there at the end of this fight. So, pretty much the fight starts. It's Sariel and Tarmiel, thinking they're all that in a bag of chips. They wipe out the entire demon army that's there with an Omega Arc, which is these giant versions of Arc, but like 5 or 6 of them, and they just massacre everybody. So there's only the 10 Commandments left. Or 5 of the 10 Commandments. Melisukla, as I said, eventually pieces. So it's basically, for the most part, it ends up being Monspeet and Derriere versus the 2 Archangels. We see that Sariel doesn't seem to have a problem, fighting them toe-to-toe. Neither does Tarmiel. We get some pretty cool shots. It's not as grisly as the manga after rereading the manga and stuff. Though, there is a filler sort of scene, where Fraudrin gets bathed in his own blood, and it's not censored. This is not censored. For some weird reason, this passed. And there's still censorship in this episode, but this passed. And he's literally raining blood by the end of this, because Sariel's power, as we know, see, as anime-only viewers, I don't want to spoil it for you. So we aren't going to talk about what we know now about the Archangels and such. So I'm going to try to keep this brief. I mean, for manga-only viewers who know what I'm talking about, but pretty much we see that Sariel seems to have a bit of a wall, a wind barrier around him, right? And Tarmiel, we don't really see what he can do, but Sariel definitely, he wasn't damaged by the Phoenix Hellfire of the Abyssal Flames of Monspeet, and then later on, Derriere tries to go to punch him, and it's just like, shredded. She does it again, just shredded. But she does end up getting a hit off on. She just powers through. She loses her arm, but she loses her arm, and then she smacks him in the face, in the eye, and takes out his eye with the stub of her arm. Now she's got a stub of an arm. So that's really, the whole fight is well animated. As I said, it's not as grisly in certain spots, like Tarmiel and his 3 heads in the manga, when Monspeet fired that at him after he bitch slapped Galen down and then launched a whole orb at him of arc power on Galen. Monspeet actually decapitates him, takes a sort of a Whitebeard thing, a whole section of his head, just boom, 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 all 3 heads just massacred, right? Derriere with her counter, of course, her high count, just constantly punching Tarmiel in the face and stuff. What else is there? Is there any highlights before Ludashel shows up? Because Ludashel does show up. In the manga, it's slightly different, but nothing to worry about. But this whole thing is animated well. It's not fantastic. It's not like, oh man, this is stellar. But it's definitely acceptable to good. It's good animation. I mean, you can't really complain too much. There was some, there was no really bad, if you paused it, it was like, what does that look like and stuff. There was no obvious, okay, that doesn't look good and stuff. And then when the episode did use some stills and stuff, I gotta say, even when they were showing the faraway shots, unlike episode 3, they showed a faraway shot and they used the zoom in, zoom out pan features. Here, they actually animated stuff. There was always animation, even during dialogue. Somebody would talk, and they would just tilt their head for a second, just to show they're moving. There'd be a blink. There would be a cock of the head. There would be a hair strand move forward or something. Each single time. Melissukla's demon, or wingy, wiry shit was always animated when we saw her, or when it was necessary, There wasn't very many still shots that didn't have something else animated going on. That made it feel like an anime episode, and it was just really well done. For that part, but I think I'm praising this a little too much, because it's still not acceptable that clearly they're like, okay, we'll put our money into this episode, and we'll put, I don't know how much money, just take a figure, let's say X. We're gonna put X into these I'm assuming, let's say this is a 24 episode season, I don't know how long it is, but we're going to put X number of money into these 10 crucial episodes. The other 14 are not going to get that. They're going to get half that budget. You have half the time and half the budget to do it. That's what it feels like. First 3 episodes, from mediocre to bad, and now we get an acceptable episode, but it still leaves a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth because I should be hyped up for the next episode, but I'm worried, is that going to be another episode they actually put money and time into? And I shouldn't feel that way. I should have felt hyped last episode, I should feel hyped during this episode, and I should keep that hype for the next episode. Right? Regardless of plot and story and all that stuff, to actually wonder, okay, did the producers put enough money into give this episode enough of a budget? Nobody should ever watch anything, any TV series, comic book, manga, movie sequels, nothing, and wonder that part. Nobody should wonder about the amount of money when they're enjoying the series. That's for after. That's for, wow, I can't believe that, the cinematography and the OST, they actually got, this person to do that, and they all, she made this much money on that and stuff. That's for after the thing is a success. That's for afterwards. It's not for before. I didn't wonder halfway through Suits or Lucifer or any of the other shows, Blue Bloods or anything I watched. Well, I wonder how much Tom Selleck made this episode. I don't wonder those things. Do you? Do you guys? Because it just doesn't make sense to me. I should be able to enjoy the entire season and then wonder, okay, how much money did it make? Will the season be renewed? How did it do with critics, What was the budget like? Little things like that interest some people. Sometimes those things interest me, but never during the season. Never during the parts. And certainly not when watching. When watching this episode, I just, near the end, when I knew the episode was coming to an end, I wondered this question. And I shouldn't. That should never cross your mind if you're making a good season, a good show, a good product. So they started off on a bad note. You might be recovering from here on out, but that bitter taste isn't going to go away. You take that first bite and it doesn't, and it just ruins. You have a beautiful plate of sushi and you don't know what wasabi is, and you put the whole piece of wasabi in your mouth, right? Nothing is going to taste good for hours afterwards. So you could have immaculate, beautiful sushi in front of you. You aren't enjoying that food product because your first bite was terrible. Now to be fair, that's on, you can blame fault on that one. But you guys, I think you guys get it. So the point is that the first step is the hardest one. The first step is where you have to hit the ground running. And they did not. They fell. They fell hard. So I'm still skeptical about the next episode. Okay, that was a weird part to put in the middle of this review. But either way, so the rest of the fight goes on. Ludoshell shows up, and he starts kicking ass, right? It was kind of an even keel sort of fight, 4 versus 2. It kind of worked out a little bit. The Archangel still seemed to have a bit of an upper hand, but it seemed to be that each side was doing damage. Ludoshell shows up and changes the name of the game, In the manga, he's the one who takes out Fraudrin, but Fraudrin was already down and out by Sariel in the anime. And here we see him taking out Galen and stuff like that and just being like, okay, hello, nice to meet you, and goodbye. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Throughout this thing, we see that he kicks their ass sort of idea, in a very short amount of time, that Monspeet and Derriere basically go, nope, we're not even chancing this. And they take, they put their arms in their chests, they rip out 6 of their 7 hearts, they crush them, they drink the blood, they drown in the blood, and they offer up the 6 hearts as a contract to become Indora, Beasts of Destruction. And once again, most of my viewers are manga readers as well, so I'm not going to go into a whole explanation about what Indora are, but basically they are Indora, Beasts of Destruction. They are the top residents of the demon realm. They are the ones that even the 10 Commandments can't compete with in strength alone. They are an epitome of demon lore and power. So Think like the Balrog from Lord of the Rings, right? That's basically what they are. And at least their mythos leads them to believe that they're like that. And in this episode, we see that. I'm not a huge fan of the whole purple tint that the color scheme choice for Derriere and Monspeed in this form. They still look good. I always like their forms. Super Saiyan Lobster Claw Derriere, and I don't even know what to call the Tendril Monspeed. But it was menacing. The anime, I think, in certain points, like Monspeed, when he crushed down Sariel and Tarmiel, and you hear his roar, and the flames are in the background and everything, and he just boom, and you just hear him, and that kind of stuff. You can just hear his like breathing sort of idea. In this rumbly, roarish, animalistic type of way. It was really well done. Certain points almost felt more alive, and that's what an anime is supposed to do. They're supposed to bring your favorite moments from a still image comic or manga to the big screen. They're supposed to bring it to life for you, right? So you don't need to visualize how this would have happened. You can see it, you can hear it, you can, and I think they did a really good job with the Endora portion especially. Now, even Ludashell starts getting his ass kicked. He doesn't think that, they're just worthless animals and he's the ultimate hunter. Basta says the same thing, and no, that is not the case. These things, Monspeed hasn't even touched Ludashell yet. Ludashell is struggling to fight Derriere in this form. And Derriere's looking, Monspeed took Sariel Tarmiel, pushed him to the ground and said, "You're out of this fight." Boom. It's menacing, it's devastating. A lot of the OST, other than that one moment, as I said, with Meliodas and Elizabeth, could have been done better. The rest of it, the soundtrack is really good. There's some reminiscent stuff from season 1 and 2 near the end part of the episode when we see like everything's on fire, everything is burning. And then at the end of the episode, Ludashell is ready to take on Derriere once again, and Elizabeth basically says, "You will step down." And she shows up in between Ludashell, facing down Derriere. Derriere acknowledges this. They seem to be animalistic, like this Endora Beast of Destruction. They don't have their sense of self anymore and such, so keep that in mind. And they've not necessarily lost intelligence, but they've sort of. Look at it that way. They traded in their minds and souls for power, if you want to look at it that way. Now, Elizabeth shows up, both goddess eyes glowing, and says, "I will put a stop to this," facing down the Endora. So that's the end of the episode, guys. So I know I kind of segued there a little bit. I always go off on tangents a lot of the time in my videos, but I just want to say that this episode was good. The animation was good. The OSTs were good. There wasn't too many flaws. As I said, our preferences aside, there wasn't really any flaws. I didn't notice any like badly animated part, or anything like that I was like, oh, come on. Something obvious, something black and white. No, this is bad, good, Of course, things can always be animated better. They can be more polished, but you have to give a little credit where credit is due, And this was a well-done episode. Where was this quality and time and passion and such put in for the first 3? I have no idea. I'm hoping that episode 5 is just as good. I'm hoping that they said, okay, the first starting off racket, it's just basically set up for the Holy War that we're starting here. We're going to put low budget for the first couple of episodes. Then we're going to spend money to get the ball rolling when the fights really start happening between the real combatants. That's a bad business model. That's terrible. All that stuff. But at the very least, it seems like somebody said we need to go the extra mile for this episode, or we're starting to either, I think somebody must have sat down and said, look, we haven't done the best quality work here. If we don't, at least by episode 4, 5, 6, give them something really nice, like maybe not flawless, but something at the standard they expect. If we don't give them something like that, we're not going to get to episode 24. The season will be canceled. So I don't know who said that, but I'm sure somebody must have said that in some meeting somewhere, in some boardroom, right? At least that's the way it feels. Hopefully this means the next episode is good, but as I said already, I'm skeptical, because as I thought, well, episode 4 they put money into. What about episode 5? And the only way to know is to wait and see when it drops. It's going to basically be a coin toss every single episode we watch, guys. That really sucks. It really does. But that is what this season is going to be. But silver lining, that means that some episodes are going to be good. The whole season is not going to be shit. At the very least, some episodes will be good. Take that what you will. Like, comment, subscribe, guys. This has been Griever. Don't forget to hit that bell notification every single time you guys want to know when I drop a video. Have a happy Friday. I hope you guys all had a very happy Halloween. As always, drink responsibly, and we'll see you back here next time for episode 5 of Wrath of the Gods. See you next time, guys. Hey guys, quick side note, something I forgot to mention during the review here at the end of the video, is Ludashel. Ludashel, of course, is the fantastic, powerful, regal archangel and stuff. And some people might complain that there was censorship. Why was Ludashel, when Derriere, punched him in the gut, there was censorship there? And why? But Fraudrin, he could get all cut up and raining blood and cut in and all that stuff, And I have an answer for you guys. It's not censorship. It's simple as that. For those of you who have read the manga, you guys know exactly what's going to go on later on. And if you've seen my behind the bar reviews for this series during the manga chapters, then you know exactly what I'm referring to. And no, it's very simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's not censorship. It's that Ludashel just couldn't keep down what his boyfriend was dishing out. What went on behind those white curtains wasn't happening with Nerobasta. That's all I'm saying. So it's not censorship. That's why it's the because we see Fraudrin, right? So why would they censor that? It's plain as day to me. It's just not censorship. Ludashel just couldn't keep it down. His boyfriend might get mad at him later for it, but that's just a line they have to cross. So yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that before we end the video.